All right, everybody. Today we got a guy who's taken a really unique path in college football from discipline of Navy to competing in the Big Ten at UCLA. He's built the reputation of a physical defensive lineman. Now heading to the NFL draft, we have Jacob Busic on today. Welcome.
Appreciate you having me.
So I was doing my homework and I found the phrase "wear the sombrero." Could you tell me a little bit more about what does that mean? Does it still come up today?
Oh, that's hilarious. Wear the sombrero. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have no idea what it means. I think it means just be a dude, be that guy. It was a coach from Navy, Ricky Brown, linebackers coach and special teams coordinator, and he had a whole bunch of crazy expressions. I mean, some of them I'm not even gonna repeat, but one of them he would say, "Look," would be to wear the sombrero, and I don't know what it means, but every time he said it, it was in competition drills. Like, who's gonna wear the sombrero? Who's gonna put it on? So I assume it means who's gonna be the baddest dude on the field. But he had a whole bunch of expressions, and that was definitely one that stuck out.
Yeah. And then after your Bruin debut, you joked they were calling you CP3.
Yeah.
Is that a nickname that sort of stuck in your time there, or was that just like
Nah, that was just a one game thing because I think I had one sack that game, but I had an opportunity for like three. I should have had like 3 or 4 sacks that game. I missed one, just flat out missed him, whiffed on him, and then I made him step up a couple other times, and it led to other players getting a sack. So as a joke, they're like, "Oh, Busic CP3 out there just giving out assists." So because I should have had like 3 sacks that game, but I think I gave Keanu a couple, gave maybe Gary one. I'm not sure who got one, but I know I should have had like 3, but I only had one. But yeah, that was just like a one game thing that didn't stick.
When you think back to your early days of starting to play football at Navy, what would you remember about, the first time you stepped onto that practice field?
At Navy,
Long
first
time
time
ago.
stepping on a college football field, I was kind of
Yeah.
nervous because in high school I was, one of the better players on the team, and I loved high school football. I mean, it was just always a good time, Friday Night Lights. But then you get into college, and then everybody's good, or at least at the time you think everyone is better than you, if not just as good, if not better. So I was pretty nervous. I was like, man, all these guys were top dudes on their high schools. I'm not just the top dude anymore. So I was a little nervous, but then as you get playing with them, you get into a rhythm, and then you realize like you're there for a reason, and the nerves start to go away. But especially being on that scout field the first time, you don't know how hard to go. You don't want to go too hard because you don't want to make the seniors mad. They might get mad at you for going too hard. You just want to give them a good look. You don't want to disappoint them. You don't want to let them down. So it was kind of just definitely a little bit of nerves, but definitely just throughout the year, just hoping that I'm doing it right, not letting the seniors down, doing the best I can for them.
All right. And when you look back to the version of yourself that left Annapolis compared to the one, you're finishing now at UCLA, what would you say is the biggest evolution, whether that be, yourself as a person or your play?
As a person, I'll just say I'm more disciplined. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. Like Naval Academy is you have to have a lot of discipline to go there. So you're probably wondering how is he more disciplined after UCLA than he was at Navy. But I think it's a different type of discipline because at Navy, your schedule's laid out for you. You got to go to class or else you get in trouble. You got to go to practice or else you get in trouble. You got to do your homework or else you get in trouble. And if you get in trouble, then they take away your weekend. You can't leave over the weekend. So there's a lot of incentives to kind of stay disciplined because there's repercussions if you're undisciplined. So I don't want to say it was easy to be disciplined at Navy. It was definitely really hard. It's a hard school just in general. But I think I entered another level of discipline going to UCLA because the first time in 4 years, no one's forcing me to do my homework. No one's forcing me to go to class. Whether I'm failing my classes or I have A's in my classes, I could still go out on the weekend. No one's stopping me from leaving. So it was just a different type of self-discipline that I had to learn going to a school like UCLA. Because when I first got there, I'm not going to lie, I kind of struggled at first. Of course, I got used to it. I adjusted and I did just fine, made good grades. At first, I was like, man, if I don't go to class, what's gonna happen? Nothing. This is the first time in my life where nothing's gonna happen if I don't go to class. So it just, and obviously I went, because I was just
very easy to skip class. Yeah.
But But yeah, I think it just, you know, it unlocked a new level of discipline, self-discipline that you have to have going to a civilian school rather than an
Yeah.
academy.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of what I hear from guys is like there's no one, it's all on you and you have to have that sort of discipline, especially when you're playing, a sport and also
Yeah,
trying to get good grades as well.
right.
So what does this off-season process look like for you? Like what does your day-to-day look like right now?
Nothing, just training. That's all I'm doing. I don't have a
Pure ball.
job. It's just all ball, working out twice a day, trying to eat right. I had a trainer, PR Strength, in Gaithersburg. He trains a few NFL guys. Patrick Reeves, he does a great job. He also trained Eli Heidenreich, who was a Navy running back slot that went to the combine, and he's going to get drafted. So I've just been training with him. Finished up with him after pro day, and now I'm just training on my own, just staying ready. Had a few local day workouts with the Raiders, Ravens. Got invited to the Chargers, but that was the same day as the Ravens, so I ended up just doing the Ravens one. Just
Hometown
staying,
team,
working out. Well,
Raven.
oh yeah, Ravens only like 10 minutes from my house.
That's awesome.
Sweet. I woke up and it's 15 minutes away to go work
Yeah.
out.
Who was the first person that made you believe that you could play football at this level?
Oof.
Whether that be coach, teammate, family member?
I want to say Coach Hall, Jarek Hall. He was my D line coach at Navy, and he kind of just instilled a new level of confidence in me. I remember every time I made a bad play or something, he would the way he would yell at me would to try to make me visualize my future. I remember one time specifically, I can't remember what I did wrong, but he yelled at me. He said, "Where are you going to be a year from now?" This was my junior year, this was going into my senior year, before I ended up going to UCLA. But he yelled at me. He said, "Where are you going to be a year from now?" And at first I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea what he's talking about. Where I'm going to be a year from now. And then he yelled at me that I was going to be at the combine. And then like I was going into my senior year, and he kind of instilled that NFL confidence in me um, from my sophomore year when I started. I started my sophomore year. Freshman year was on the scout team the whole year, and started freshman year. And he was a big part of my NFL confidence. And he does a great job with everybody. I mean, look at Landon Robinson. He's All-American D lineman over at Navy now, and I know Coach Hall absolutely loves that kid. But he did the same thing because Landon was there when I was there. And he would instill that same kind of confidence in everybody, but especially Landon, just because of his potential. And so I've seen him do it with other players too. But I think he was the first one to kind of open that NFL door for me and made me realize that that's a possibility.
Yeah. What are some of the ways that, when you're training and you're training, like you said, every day, how do you stay motivated when it's pretty much, just like a really monotonous like routine? You should wake up, work out, that sort of thing.
I mean, I
How do
stay
you
motivated because, I mean, last time I checked, I'm not like 5% body fat. I still got a little bit of flubber on me. And June's right around the corner, man. The beach body's not there. It's not there yet. So I mean, I look in the mirror and I just like, man, I still got a lot of work to do. So it's not like maybe if I was like, I don't know, 5% body fat and absolutely shredded, I'd be like, I could probably take a day off, but
Yeah.
that's not me. You know, they joked with me and called me the third Bosa, but I don't look like Nick Bosa, at least not
Yeah.
yet. So that's the kind of the motivation to just I feel like I have a lot of potential even still. I feel like I haven't reached it yet. I still have a lot of ways to go, and that potential that I see that I can reach is kind of what keeps me going.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a Bosa, but who is someone in the NFL that you look up to right now, whether that's, take parts of their game or just someone that you really admire in the defensive line?
I mean, there's a lot of them. I love the way, but I mean, even players not in my position. Like I
Yeah.
love the way Kyle Hamilton plays football. I watch. Obviously, I'm a local to the Ravens, so I watch some Ravens games and just his physicality. Love the Bosa brothers. Aiden Hutchinson, love him. Loved watching Aaron Donald. And I know I already mentioned Landon, but Landon loves Aaron Donald. He worked out with him a few weeks ago.
Awesome.
So he's just, guys that play with a level of physicality and finesse at the same time. I can do a little bit of both. I love watching the way different people rush the passer and
Yeah.
stop the run. Because the Texans edges, Hunter and Anderson, I mean, they play completely different than Bosa.
Yeah.
So it's just cool watching the different ways these people play their position.
Yeah. Is there anything cooler than just like getting a sack? I don't
No,
think there is.
no. Getting a sack is probably the best feeling in the world. When you turn that edge and you realize that you beat the tackle and all you see is the quarterback, that split second is like the most fun and also the most stressful time in your
Mm.
entire life, because you turn that corner and there he is, and all you're thinking is don't throw it or don't step up. Just stay right there. Don't move. Just make it easy for me. So it's like it's stressful because you don't want to miss him, but it's the best feeling in the world when you get your hands around them. The only thing that I can compare it to is maybe like an in-game alley-oop. Like if someone throws you a lob and you dunk it on someone mid-game, you're like, that was the coolest thing ever.
I
So
mean,
I mean,
in football though, it's up there. It's
oh,
gotta
in
be number
football, it's
one.
number one. It's got to be
Yeah.
number one.
Speaking of pass rush, what is your favorite pass rush move or your signature pass rush move?
Man, I wouldn't say I have a signature. I definitely work on just a few. I was more of a run-stopping defensive end this year, but I love the cross chop. I mean, we do a lot of Coach Malloy. He was the defensive coordinator my first year at UCLA. He coached guys like Latu, and he taught me some new pass rush stuff that differed from Navy that I thought was pretty cool. I love the cross chop. With plant that right foot or left foot depending on what side you are, and do that little. It's like a little hop almost, just to take a wide
Yeah.
step out and throw that cross chop, turn the shoulders. That's a go-to in practice. And I know I never did it in a game, but I did it a lot in practice. The spin. I would honestly get yelled at for doing the spin from time to time. That's probably why
I
I never did it in a game.
if it works though, I mean,
What was
if it
that?
works, it works.
That's what I'm saying. And my pass rush repertoire was a lot more. Had a lot more moves in practice than I did in the game. In the game, I tried to keep it simple. Work one or two, depending on what the tackle's giving me. We'd scout the tackle, and maybe he's a low hand, high hand kind of guy. Quick setter, deep setter, just depending on what he gave me, it was kind of the moves that I was going to work that week. That's why I never really had just a go-to favorite, because it differed from week to week.
Mhm.
But in practice, I was just having fun with it in practice, just throwing anything during one-on-ones, team periods. I mean, that's what practice is for. So I'd say my pass rush locker was a lot deeper in practice than it was in the game.
Yeah. When you have a mobile quarterback on the other end, I know Ethan was pretty mobile, Nico's mobile.
Yeah.
Like, does that sort of change your mindset going into the play? Because like this guy could take off at any moment, and I need to be ready to seal the edge. Or are you just sort of trying to do the same thing every single time?
No, it definitely varies. When you're playing with a less mobile quarterback, you can get after it a little bit more, not
Yeah,
worry about pass rush lane integrity as much. But when you're playing a guy that could take off and get a first down with his feet, I mean, that we call it cage rushing. I'm sure that terminology is pretty basic across other programs, but everyone just kind of stay in their lane, don't rush past the quarterback, don't create step up lanes. Because nothing is worse than getting in like 3rd and 10, and the corners are covering great, safety's covering great, and one of us gets selfish and maybe takes an inside move when we're not supposed to, or runs a huge hoop and goes way outside and opens up that B gap, and having the quarterback take off on 3rd and 10 and get the first down. That sucks. That's got to be one of the worst feelings in football, especially when you're tired. When you're like
yeah,
10, 12 plays into a drive and it's time to get off the field and you let them walk for a first down. That sucks.
yeah.
That
You've
was.
been in many different systems, just like you mentioned earlier. A couple of them coaches at UCLA. How do you sort of adapt to whatever the defensive coordinator wants you to do, whether that's an end or more of a run stopper, like you said?
I mean, that's pretty easy. That's always come easy for me. That's always definitely been one of my strong suits, just being able to adapt to whatever the coach wants. I think that's why I had the college career that I had, being able to start for UCLA and start for Navy, and maybe even lose a starting job at a point and then earn it back. It's just because I've always been pretty good at getting a scheme or a coach giving you something that he wants done and being able to execute that plan. So yeah, that's always. I mean, changing systems, getting new playbooks, just review it that night. I have a pretty good memory. I mean, I'm pretty like once I review it, I pretty much committed to memory right there. So that's never been something that I struggled with. I just kind of enjoyed it. It's seeing the different ways that coaches like to play defense and different philosophies behind it. But you just adapt and you get it done. And we end up going on a 3-game winning streak. So that was
Yeah.
fun.
Did it ever feel like you had to sort of prove yourself when you transferred here to UCLA?
Yeah, a little bit. I never let that really bother me.
Yeah,
But social media is a crazy place. When I left Navy and went to UCLA, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people that didn't think that my game would translate. Playing in the AAC and then going to the Big Ten, a lot of people didn't think it was going to translate. But it's social media. What are you going to do?
easy to be negative.
Yeah, people just like to be negative. You could find the most wholesome, awesome thing in the world, and someone would critique it online. So it is what
Absolutely. What's one moment from your UCLA career or just college career in general that you'll never forget?
beating Army. I mean, that's not UCLA, but we should have beat him. We should have beat him every year I was there, to be honest. But my sophomore year, that was the first time I won it, and only time. But that was my first year starting, first year experiencing the Army Navy game. All the hype was real. I've never played in a rivalry game like it. Beating, and the way we did it was a 4th down stop in the 4th quarter, like 40 seconds left. I can't remember how much time was on the clock. But I was in on the play. Diego Fago was in on the play. Colin Ramos was in on the play. We had a whole bunch of guys. Like, it was like the whole defense swarmed to the ball and stopped on 4th down. And that was just the epitome of Navy football. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to end a game any other way. And seeing how much it meant to the seniors to go out with a win against the Army, and it was in MetLife, coolest stadium I've been in. I mean, that place rocks. So, yeah, that was definitely the best. And a close second, not a close second. I mean, nothing tops Army Navy. But I mean, a second, if I were to go to a UCLA game, Iowa, my first year there,
yeah,
that was homecoming. We wore the powder blues. I think that's what they call them, the
yeah,
throwbacks. That was fantastic. That was another really physical. We ran a very physical defense that game. We switched it up a little bit. I played a little bit more inside. It had an Army Navy kind of feel to it, just a level of physicality that we played with. We were just getting off the ball that game. That was a very specific game plan to stop their running attacks. They had a really good running back that year, Caleb Johnson.
yeah. Steeler
Like,
now.
yeah, Steeler now. So that, and beating them at home for homecoming, that was a really good feeling.
Yeah, speaking of rivalries, I mean, 2 schools you go to, insane, like some of the best college football rivalries you'll find. I
Right.
mean, how do you feel you've played in was it 3 Army Navy games and 2 UCLA USC?
Yep. Yep. I mean, it's super cool just being able to play the Army Navy game, play in Gillette Stadium, MetLife, Lincoln Financial, and then go over to the West Coast and play at home against USC and in the Coliseum. So, both, I mean, just absolutely phenomenal experiences. The only regret is that I didn't win more of them. But, you know, playing
Yeah,
in them was
crazy
fun.
atmosphere.
Winning in them would have been a lot better. Just to be able to experience something like that. Not a lot of people get to experience that. So I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah. When you compare the team from when you arrived at UCLA versus the team when you finished, how would you say they differed?
Oh man. I mean, they culture was a little different. Don't really know how to describe the culture piece, but when I got there, we were already an established team. We had Ethan Garbers, we had Swess, we had
Yeah.
Kane, we had Femi, we had Jay, we had a bunch of stars on the team. And after that year ended, we lost all those guys that I just named. And now we're a team. We're a transfer portal team. And what we were before was a team of all UCLA, mainly people who have been at UCLA for multiple years. Now we're a team where the majority of the team is not even from California. What it felt like, and everyone coming from all over and kind of trying to establish a different culture. There are definitely different cultures, but
Yeah.
both were really good. It's kind of like that. You just got to find that thing, find what it is. Find what drives people, and once you find that, you can kind of base your culture based off that. What you find drives each and every individual, and find some common ground and unite behind one thing, the team, and winning football games. I mean, both were very different, but both were very good. I can confidently say that I've been a part of many different cultures. The academy culture is much different than UCLA, which is much different than my second year at UCLA, but all were great in their own ways.
Yeah. Who would you say is a player, teammate now that next year UCLA football fans should look forward to watching?
That was a whole bunch. You can't. I love the class like 2 grades below me. You know, they got Scott Taylor, Juju Walls, they got Cole Cogshell. You got a bunch of young talent. You know, and they played last year. Juju played last year. Cole got a sack last year. Scott Taylor played last year. And they're young and they have a lot of growth to they can get so much better. They're already great players, but their ceiling is very, very high. And I can't wait to watch them come close to that ceiling and reach that ceiling as the years go by. They're all 3 very talented. And I spent a lot of time with all 3 of them just because we were in the same room at times. Me and Cole were in the same room the whole year. He was a defensive end. And Juju and Scotty would come over from time to time, learn some pass rush. So I spent a lot of time with them. And I'm very fortunate to be able to, teach those guys a little something
Yeah.
and have fun watching them the next years to come. And I believe they're all still there. I think they are. I don't think any of them transferred with the new coaching change. So I think those guys are going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. Speaking of transfer, you've seen, the before and after effect of NIL. How do you sort of foster that continuity? Like you were mentioning a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
between, you know, every year now guys are transferring in and out. Like how on defense, especially, like how do you foster that continuity so that you all can kind of play as one cohesive unit?
I'm not going to lie. It's hard. It's definitely hard. It's not easy. If you're going to bring in transfer portal guys, I think you got to have a really good core and a culture already established. So the guys who come in just kind of fall right into that. And we just all kind of hit the ground running and there's not really any setbacks. My second year at UCLA, we didn't have that. Our core was gone. Femi, Kane, Swess, everyone in the NFL. So it was hard at first because we didn't have a core. But like I said earlier, you just got to find what it is that drives each and every person. And you really get to know, I think the most important thing with the transfer portal is getting to know your teammates. What you don't want to do is bring in a bunch of players and then not have any team events or not mingle at all or get to know them. Because now you're on the field and you look to your left, you don't even know the corner, that's guarding the receiver over there. You're like, I don't even know that kid. I mean, I know his name, but I don't know anything about him. So I think UCLA did a really good job with like team events and especially during fall camp, mixing up the groups and rooming with different people and just getting to know each and every person. In our room, everyone told, I think other rooms did this, we all told our story and kind of what drives us. And once you know that about somebody and you get to know them a lot more, then it makes it a lot easier to become one team.
Yeah, for sure. What's one aspect of your game that you're really focusing on improving since the offseason?
A pass rush for sure. I'm pretty good at stopping the run. At least I think I am. But definitely working on that pass rush. Didn't have a lot of pass rush opportunities last year, which is fine. We had a lot of guys that could rush the passer, but just perfecting that. I think that's the most important thing as a defensive end is getting pressures, getting sacks, getting the quarterback off the spot. Like I said earlier, I'm very disciplined. I got good work ethic. If I could just perfect that pass rush, then I believe I could have a long NFL career. I hope so, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just need to put some final pieces together. Just keep improving. Get in better shape. I mean, I'm in good shape, but like I said, I don't look like Aiden Hutchinson or Nick Bosa yet, so I can always do better. And just keep fine tuning some little details and just keep working on that and improve my pass rush.
What are some of the tells in an offensive lineman's stance that, tell you run or pass?
I mean, there's a bunch of things. Lean, if they're high in their stance, low in their stance. If they're looking at you, if they're looking down, like if he's looking down at the guard, then I could assume, he's probably running back's probably going to run that in that direction, or at least maybe there's something coming back. Maybe it's counter trap power. But yeah, definitely eyes and their height. And some of them have hand tells. Some people, when it's run, they got elbows on knees. When it's pass, they got hands on knees. There's a whole bunch of little things that these offensive linemen can do.
What's harder, winning outside leverage or inside leverage?
Depends where you're lined up. I mean, I would say inside leverage is definitely harder.
Get double teamed, yeah.
And if I'm playing that like that 5 technique, and I got to get to that B gap. I like having outside leverage. I think it's pretty easy, especially if you're lined up already outside. You just
Yeah.
outside arm
Then you
free.
might get a running back or tight end show up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it just depends on alignment. If the tight end's on the ball, off the ball, and what the defensive scheme is. If you have that C gap and you can't play it from outside in, and the tight end's on the ball, that's tough. You gotta line up on them and take that double team. But yeah, maybe if you're allowed to line up outside the tight end, maybe you're playing the D gap. Maybe you can play it from outside in, kind of smash the tight end into that gap. Yeah, there's multiple ways to play a gap, but I would say probably it just depends which one's harder, outside, inside, just depending on what the defensive scheme calls for and what they line up in their personnel.
Yeah. How do you reset mentally after not having a good rep? Because I feel like, and the entirety of defense is like this, but I feel like defensive line, especially when you're just constantly in the trenches, like fighting the offensive line.
Yeah, for me personally, I laugh. I like to have a good time out there. It's football. It's a fun time. I like to have a good time. So I could proudly say I don't think I got pancaked or ever driven to the ground. But at practice, if they caught me off guard, or maybe a pulling guard popped me pretty good, or if I ever did get pancaked, or maybe I took on a double team and got like just lost my footing, got drove back a couple of yards, just laugh it off, pat the offensive lineman on the head and be like, oh yeah, good block, bro. Like, yeah, that was good. But yeah, just laugh it off, and then it's just next play mentality, because as
Yeah.
soon as you get wrapped up in the bad plays, then you're just gonna have a bad game.
Yeah.
I've done that before in my 5 years of college football. I've ruined, now I don't want to say games, but I've ruined quarters and even maybe like just series just based off one bad play.
Yeah. What's something about college football that people think is easy, but it's not easy?
Just daily life. Like I feel like a lot of people, like the people who don't play football who go to the school, they're like, oh, you guys have it so easy. You get all these free shoes and free shirts, and you get to miss class for games, and you know do this and that, but they don't understand that I'm in the facility like 12 hours a day at least. You're waking up at like 5:30 in the morning. You got weigh-ins at like 6:30 a.m. And then you're in the facility all the way up until like noon, 1. Go to class from 1 to 4. That's like our class time, and then come back for afternoon meetings, walk through, and then your team dinner at 6:37, and then you walk back to your room, and you're back in your room at like 8 p.m. You're like, geez, where'd the day go? That was the entire day. So
Yeah.
I would say just daily life is overlooked as a college football athlete. For those who don't play, I don't think they fully understand how demanding our days can be. Now, of course, we have some things nice, like, yeah, we get free stuff, and I'm not complaining about our long days. It's a business, college football. It's, you got to grow. If you want to play in the NFL, like, you got to grow up. These are going to be long days, get used to it, but just embrace it, and it's definitely harder than people make it out to be.
Yeah. Something I always hear from guys is sort of the need or the necessity to keep up with their weight, and then how for certain guys it was a struggle, for other
Mhm.
guys it was pretty easy. What has that looked like for you? Do you feel like, you had to struggle to almost
Look,
gain the weight or just maintain your calories?
if any coach that ever tells you that a player's weight wasn't a problem is lying. A weight's always a problem, whether it's right or wrong. No matter what I weighed, I always had a coach tell me, "Hey, what are you weighing?" "Oh, 250. I need to get that up. You need to be at least 260. You're like, all right. And then I get to 265 or 260, and they're like, "How much you weighing?" "Oh, 260, 265. Like, ooh, I might have to bump that up. I'm just like, all right. And then you get up to 270, and you're like, all right, I'm 270 now. Like, this is where you wanted me. And they're like, yeah, we might have to bring you back down to like 255. And you're like, all right, I was just there a couple months ago. Like, so weight, I've always had good weight management, I would say. I never really fluctuated too much in my collegiate career. I was anywhere from 245 was the lightest I got it. That's in the Naval Academy, obviously, freshman year. But playing weight, I've always fluctuated within 15 pounds from 255 to 270. And I can drop and gain pretty easily. So it's never been a problem for me. But yeah, some guys, like you said, have a really hard time. I know Michael Sullivan, my friend at the UCLA, he could never put on weight. And we go to Chick-fil-A and you get like 5 sandwiches, 2 milkshakes, and 3 large fries. And
Dang.
he'd come back in the next day and weigh less. And it just wouldn't make any sense.
That's crazy.
I wish I could do that.
I know. I've heard stories of guys that are just like they would just make an insane morning shake and just like try to fit as many calories into liquid as possible.
Yeah, yeah, just yeah. Some crazy stuff you see from these guys trying to gain or lose weight.
Yeah. What is your best game on tape? What would that be? That perfectly encapsulates you as a player. Is it Hawaii?
Nah, I wouldn't say Hawaii because that like all respect to Hawaii, that wasn't a very physical game. You know, that was. I
Yeah.
feel like if you want to watch a play or a game that really emphasizes the way I play football, it'd have to be a physical game. It'd have to be an Army Navy game or even that Iowa game. You know, like I didn't have the
Okay.
greatest stats. I didn't have a sack that game because they, you know, if they played 65 snaps on offense, they ran freaking 50 of them. So, but I would say either Iowa that game, um, or sophomore year Army Navy. Just two games that were just physical. Not a lot of stats, but just doing my job, being really physical at the point of attack. And I think it emphasizes the way I play football.
Yeah. How would you describe your style of leadership?
Oof. I would say I'd say it changes, you know? I think the only thing a leader can't do is be fake. You know, I think I've seen a few players try to step into leadership roles and you can just kind of tell like that's not like maybe he's trying to step out of who he is and his personality. So it's kind of it's not genuine. So it's kind of hard to be a leader. But for me, I've always done a really good job at getting to know players, getting to know just everyone in the D line room, especially the young guys like Juju and Scotty and Cole, and especially and even at the time at the academy, just getting to know everyone on the team. And once you get to know them, you can you. I always found it easier to lead people that I knew. So I knew what drove them and how they would take coaching. And so I'd say just my biggest leadership quality was my ability to kind of tailor my leadership to everybody. You know, I'd switch it up depending on who I'm talking to, and none of it was fake. I know when I say that, it's probably you're probably thinking, well, I mean, is that genuine if you're changing your styles? But that was my style, just kind of being able to adapt depending on who I'm talking to, and you know,
Yeah.
it's made me, you know, it's given me a great college career, and it's given me the ability to lead and follow. Because in order to be a great leader, you got to be a great follower, great players. So I was very fortunate to have a lot of great leaders in my life and through my collegiate career. Guys like Diego Fago and Jackson Perkins was a defensive end at Navy that I really looked up to when I first got there. Just wanted to be like them, you know, and they're the same way. They could lead anybody. So uh,
Who is the funniest guy in either the UCLA locker room or the Navy locker room?
Uh, for Navy, well, everyone was hilarious at Navy. But I would say Clay Cromwell, big number 97. We called him the Factor. He was just a big guy and just a funny guy. And he wasn't like super. His kind of humor, it wasn't super talkative. It's not like he was always the loudest guy in the room and trying to make his voice heard all the time. It was just the little things that he would do and his mannerisms and uh I don't know, you'd walk into the facility at like midnight and he'd just be in there for no reason, just with like a whole bag of McDonald's. You're like, what are you doing? Like, there's no reason to be in here at McDonald's at this hour. If he heard me say that, he'd probably be upset. But and then at UCLA, we had some funny guys at UCLA too. I would say Blake Glessner. He was a specialist at UCLA my first year there.
Yeah.
He was he was he was very funny. But yeah, we had a bunch of the tight ends are always a good time. Jack
That's
Peterson,
what Hudson said too. It
Hudson, and
must be a tight end sort of thing.
yeah, the tight ends they're always a good time. They just kind of just fed off each other. They're all like the same person, just wrapped up into one room. So I would spend a lot of my time in the tight end room. Just take my meal, take my food, go sit in with them and Jerry Neuheisel and just chop it up. So
Yeah. Speaking of him, what a guy. I mean, it
yeah,
was
but yeah,
so fun to see just like as soon as you guys went on that little win streak that you were carrying him and like national media, which is recognizing all that hard work there.
yeah. Now he's the man. You know, he was one of few coaches in my. I mean, every coach that I've been coached by is, you know, I respect. a lot. And I've had a lot of really, really, really good coaches throughout my collegiate career. But there's always like a few. Every player, maybe it's just one, and I feel bad for the players who didn't have any. But there's always that one couple coaches throughout your, collegiate career where it's just different. Like you feel like you could tell him anything in the entire world, and he's just gonna get it, and he's just gonna understand. And you could call him at like 3 a.m, and if you needed help, he'd be there. And he was genuinely one of those guys. And I've had a few of those in my collegiate career. Another one being PJ Volker, who's now with the Ravens, Coach Newberry, head coach at Navy. I mean, I've been very blessed to have multiple coaches like that. Coach Hall, that I felt that way towards, that were just really big pieces of my collegiate career. And Coach Jerry Neuheisel was definitely one of them.
Yeah. Hudson told me that he helped him with rehab and everything, and I was like, "What a guy!" You don't even see that kind of stuff, but
Right.
it's really
Yeah.
big. I'm sure it's really big for culture and for you guys, like you just said, to respect
Yeah.
him a lot. So I think wherever he's at Northwestern right now, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Quarterback's coach at Northwestern.
they're lucky to have him, I'm
Yes,
sure.
they are. Yeah.
What does your ideal off day look like? I'm sure now is not the time for relaxing much, but let's say, what you have an ideal off day. What does that look like for you?
Well, I know I'm working out like twice a day, every day, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like every day is kind of an off day because I wake up 7 a.m., I hit my workout for 2 hours, and then it's 10 a.m. And it's like, oh, you got the whole day in front of you. And, I don't work out until about this hour, about 8 p.m., 7 p.m. I work out again. So I just kind of have all day to do whatever. So every day is a work day. But also at the same time, it's kind of every day is kind of an off day. But man, I'm getting into golfing. I suck. I'm absolutely trash, but I love to do it. In my free time, I like to play basketball. I golf. Might run to Dunkin', get a cold brew. That's about it. I mean, that's what I do. I get up, work out, go to the range, get a coffee, work out again, eat dinner, go to sleep. That's my day. And that's a good day, It's
Yeah.
great.
Speaking of meals, what would your ultimate cheat meal look like?
No clue. If I could snap my fingers and have anything in front of me at any time, it would be a ribeye steak,
Mm,
16 ounce, preferably
okay.
medium rare. That would be my number one pick. But I don't consider that a cheat meal because I kind of eat that like protein, a steak, and chicken. Those are like the three things that I eat for protein pretty much the majority of the week. But if I were to like be fat for a day,
Yeah. Let's hear it.
probably Cane's,
Okay.
that combo. Maybe get some I don't know, some Ben and Jerry's if I'm really being fat. Yeah, then Cane's and some Ben and Jerry's. And Ben and Jerry's, those cartons are like 1,000 calories each. So I mean, I'd probably eat the whole thing, to be honest with you. I can't
Yeah.
even remember the last time I had Ben and Jerry's. It's that dangerous. I'll eat the whole thing if it's in front of me. That's why I just don't buy it.
Moving on to some fan questions. What's the funniest trash talk you've heard or been a part of on the field?
He's gonna be so mad if he knew that I was telling this story. But Diego Fago, my sophomore year, we were playing Air Force, and at the academy, you have to shave your face, every day. You can't have any stubble. And the quarterback for Air Force had some stubble on his face. And Diego thought it would be a good flame or like a good trash talk to like comment on that. Bro, you didn't even shave this morning. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, that's pretty bad. The offensive lineman started laughing at him, and it was just some awful trash talk. But yeah, I mean, that was hilarious. Not because it was good, just because it was that bad. But I mean, UCLA, the trash talk was always really good because we're in California and in LA, and automatically teams assume that we're soft because we're a bunch of LA Southern Cal pretty boys. Supposedly on paper, people think that. So we got a lot of good flames. I got called a lot of really funny things along those lines. Those were always good. It's fun. It's kind of fun hearing what teams come up with, especially Iowa. Iowa had a lot of good ones. Yeah, not going to repeat them. They did a good job.
What is your favorite call that you've heard or that the defense has had? Because I've heard stuff like T-Rex, monkey arms, banana split.
Favorite call? I don't know. I feel like all of our calls were we didn't have favorite calls. We had favorite hand signals. So we
Oh,
had some signals that were like hilarious. So like if we were ever out and about, and we would actually, this is a true story, I'm not making this up. If we were ever out and about and there was like music playing, our dance moves would be our calls because they were just that funny. Like I don't even know how to describe it.
I don't want you giving away any UCLA secrets here.
Now they change all the time. Yeah, I don't even know. Like we had a call like called Cowboy, and we just like, I don't know, it's so dumb. But we would like, if we were ever in a venue and there was music playing, we were dancing, we would just do our calls. We would just like hit the Cowboy. It was so dumb, but it's hilarious. Some of the signals were hilarious that we would come up with.
What are some hobbies or interests that fans might not expect from you?
I love to sing. I'm not going to say I'm like super good, but I absolutely love to sing. And I listen to any genre of music. So a lot of people probably don't know this, but maybe some do, like my friends do. But I listen to like vocal jazz, like 20s music, 30s, 40s, super old stuff. And I like listen to it normally. Like working out, I'll have like Bobby Darin and Dean Martin and older, like Nat King Cole, just even older than that. I can't even think of the names right now. And just be listening to it. But I love like singing that type of music, and I just love music in general. My brother plays the piano. I dabble in the guitar. Again, I'm awful at it, but I dabble. So I definitely love the music scene.
What's more satisfying to you, a strip sack or a goal line stop?
Strip sack, 100%. Both are turnovers, but a strip sack could happen at the 50-yard line, and then
Yeah,
you're setting up your offense for great field position. Goal line stop, yeah, it's great, fantastic, good job, bend don't break. But yeah, now our offense is starting at the 1-yard line, and they have to go 99 yards to get a touchdown, which the odds of that happening are low, no matter what offense you are. Uh, so I would definitely take a strip sack over a goal line stop. As a
what?
team, as a team, if the team needs a morale boost, I would say goal line stop, because that gets the whole defense fired up.
Yeah,
Strip
gets
sack
the,
is more of an individual thing.
gets the
Um,
people going.
yeah. But if it's a tight game and it's a physical game and we need kind of a defensive collaborative hype moment, then I'm gonna go goal line stop. But overall, I'd still take a strip sack.
Yeah, for sure. What is your favorite uniform you've worn in your entire career?
Give me the sophomore year Marine Corps uniforms we wore against Air Force. We played Air Force on 9/11, and we wore these Marine Corps uniforms, white helmets. Didn't keep the helmet. Should have kept it. Don't don't know what I was thinking. But before I left the Naval Academy and went to UCLA, I was a Marine select. So what I would have done if I didn't end up transferring to UCLA was I would have been a Marine. A lot of my friends, Clay Cromwell being one of them, are Marines right now. Um, so having a uniform based off what I would have done in the moment was sick. Like I'm
Yeah,
gonna be
that's cool.
an officer and I have a uniform. I wore a Marine Corps officer themed uniform, Marine Corps in general themed uniform on the
Yeah,
field playing Air Force. Um, again, didn't win. That sucks. No, that was really cool. That was probably one of my favorites.
yeah. Is it true defensive linemen secretly wish they could play running back?
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, and I want to say no but I feel like every defensive lineman, every edge rusher played running back at some point. I played running back in high school. My sophomore year of high school, I was a running back linebacker, and then I outgrew it. I feel like every defensive lineman is just a fullback or a running back that outgrew the position. Had to permanently switch at some point, and it was heartbreaking. I remember the first time I put my hand in the dirt, my junior year of high school, lining up. No, sophomore year. I got moved mid sophomore year, and I hated it. I was number 72. I was like, this sucks. Absolutely blows. I was a running back 2 weeks ago, wearing number 5, and now I'm number 72 with my hand in the dirt. This sucks. But so I would say, but obviously, best decision of my life going to defensive end. I love it. My favorite position on the field. But I think deep down, every defensive lineman they just want to get the ball. They just want to get a pick. And they want to tote that rock and run for 6. But so yeah, I would say they definitely want to be a running
Yeah.
back.
Wrapping us up today, what is something football has taught you that you think that people can apply to their everyday life?
It's not about you. That's 100% easiest question you've ever asked me. I would say football teaches you that it's not about you. Nothing is about you. A lot of people in life, they make decisions based off themselves and like what's best for me in the moment. And, you know, football, if it teaches you one thing, it's that it's not about you. It's about the team. And every decision that you make, although it might lead to your individual success, at the end of the day, what's most important is the team. I would go my entire collegiate career getting 0 stats and not getting a single tackle and not even having a shot at the NFL if it meant that I won every game and my team went 12-0 every year. I'd take that in a heartbeat. But, I think that's definitely something that a lot of people can take away from the game of football. It's and that's kind of just how I live my life now. At least I try to, but it's just every decision that I make, I try to just not make it about me. I made one decision about me, and never, never again. Really, just always making decisions that are about other people. I would say that's what football teaches you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow along so you don't miss what's coming next. New episodes are dropping at least bi-weekly with more players, draft prospects, and guess all offseason. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at FootballByNico. And if you made it this far, share the show with someone who loves LA football. Appreciate you for listening.